Hello everyone! I finally managed to reach rank 9 in Season 3. I really wanted to hit rank 9 with the Slow Brothers, since a friend asked if I had considered running them together for a true same type in the back lineup, so I spent over 400,000 dust on them and I didn't want that to go to waste. So at first I ran it with Escavalier as a lead, since it's the best Pokemon to cover the Slow Brothers' weaknesses, but it was not consistent enough against electric types, and it was also way too weak against Charizard lead, since the Slow Brothers are terrible at regaining switch advantage. So my solution was to switch lead to a ground type that is also a good all-rounder, and Swampert fills that role. And then another adjustment that I made to this team was that I switched Ice Beam for Water Pulse on Slowbro. And this is because I wanted to hit way harder on Magnezone and Charizard, since I kept running into them a lot. And this turned out to be a good call, cause after doing that, the Water Pulse saved me twice in 25 games, and I never missed having the Ice Beam. The final team I came up with was Swampert and then Slowking and Slowbro in the back, and I went from 2430 to 2505 matchmaking rating by going 2312. With it in Ultra League Premier Cup. So obviously a triple water team is very weak to grass, so if you face any grass type other than Venusaur, you lose basically every time. And this team is fun to play, but I only recommend it if you have a ton of Stardust that you don't know what to do with. And when playing this team, you have to be conservative with the shields, since you absolutely need shields in case they have Venusaur hiding in the back in the end of the game. And one really good thing with this team is that it performs very consistently against teams with Lapras, Machamp, Toxicroak or Charizard, since all three in this line can handle them very well. So now let's begin the run. In the first game I go up against Hi-Fi and he leads with Lapras, so this is good for me, since both of my Pokemon in the back are great against Lapras and Swampert can handle it if I need to. So I charge up to a Hydro Cannon that I can use later in the game at any point. And then I switch into Slowbro, and because this Lapras has Skull Bash, this is a losing matchup for Slowbro, so I am just going to avoid to shield anything, and then the Slowking will be able to come in and farm down. And since he didn't switch, I now know that he's very likely to have a good Swampert counter, and he's very likely to not have a good Slowking counter. So at this point I'm ready to invest both of my shields in Slowking, because that's my most valuable Pokemon in this situation. And then my opponent sends in Charizard here, which pretty much confirms that there is a Venusaur in the back. So I catch the Dragon Claw and use my Hydro Cannon at the same time to save my Slowking for the Venusaur. And here I will go straight for the Earthquake, since I'm not afraid at all of the Frenzy Plant, because if he uses the Frenzy Plant then he's down to 0 energy and Slowking will be able to finish him in the 2-shield scenario. So now, since I have a ton of energy saved on Slowking, I will be able to fire off 2 Psychics before he reaches 3 Frenzy Plants. So this will wrap up the first game. And if you notice there, he did 4 Vine Whips, but he needed 5 to reach the Frenzy Plant. So the winning play for him was actually to undercharge the Dragon Claw against Swampert and not hit any bubbles at all, so that he could have slightly more energy for his Venusaur. Next up is DeRosa in game number 2, and he leads with Ferrothorn. So this is one of the absolute worst matchups that this team can ever face. And almost my only way to damage this Ferrothorn is to connect with an Earthquake. So I go straight for the Earthquake and hope that he doesn't shield. And he doesn't. So now I will go straight for the Hydro Cannon, because he knows it's a Hydro Cannon and it won't KO, so he's unlikely to shield the next one. So already, just at the cost of 1 shield and some extra energy on the Ferrothorn, I've already basically KO'd the Ferrothorn. But I'm still in a very bad position. And to make matters worse, Niantic decides that Slowking should take another charge move. But this is still winnable if they have like a Toxicroak and Machamp in the back for some reason. But they have Ampharos and I'm out of there. Next up is a game against Luke WZ or Lecuse or something, and he leads with Charizard, so that's amazing for me since it's countered by all 3 of my Pokemon. And then he switches into Lapras, so I will stay in for a few extra mud shots to get some basically free energy against the Lapras before switching into my Slowking. And here I switched into Slowking since Slowbro is slightly better against Charizard with the Water Pulse. And I possibly should have gone for the Fire Blast instead here, because I thought I was going to be able to reach 2 Psychics, but the Lapras will be able to go almost back-to-back Surf here. But that's okay, since I will still be able to farm down with Slowbro, and I will have a big energy advantage. And he still got the Charizard, which can't do anything against any of my Pokemon that I have left. So when he switches in the Charizard here, I basically know that his last Pokemon is the best Swampert counter, so I will do the same thing as in the first game, where I switch into his Charge move and KO his Charizard with a Hydro Cannon. And his last Pokemon is Venusaur, so at this position I will just spam the Hydro Cannons, since if he doesn't shield then the Venusaur will get low enough to just farm down with Confusions. But if he shields, I will be able to KO him with 2 Psychics. And that's what happens, except that he knows that it's over, so he will let this go through. My next opponent is Swrangler, and he leads with Gallade, so this is an interesting matchup, since I need to connect with 2 Hydro Cannons, but he only needs 1 Leaf Blade to KO me. So if I connect with 1, I will switch into one of my Slow Brothers and farm down with Confusions. The Leaf Blade will still hurt, but it's not a one-shot at least. And then he switches into Lapras, so this is amazing for me, because I will be able to put this Lapras fairly low, and then the other Slow Brother will come in and farm down all the way. So in this way I will have a big energy advantage. He will be able to reach 1 more Surf, and then he has some energy on the Gallade in the back. So that's where I will use my shield, because I can't afford to let my Slowbro go down with this much energy. So I will shield once, and then I will KO him with Confusion. And his last Pokemon is Venusaur. So Venusaur is basically on more than 40% of the teams in Ultra League Premier Cup. So I will force 2 shields with my Psychics and then go straight for the Earthquake. And since my opponent cannot farm down and he's in range for a Hydro Cannon, he is forced to throw here, and I will be able to KO him with 1 more Confusion. And that's how you defeat a Venusaur with only 1 shield. You basically need a ton of energy advantage. In the last game of the set I go up against Ghastly Popo, and he leads with Braviary, which is very spicy, and I don't even know what kind of moves the Braviary has. So I will stick to the main strategy and just send in Slowking to check if he has got a Slow Brother counter. And it turns out he has. He has an Alolan Mook, which is a very hard counter to Slow Brothers. So it will easily take down the Slowking, but then Swampert will be able to handle it. So here I put a lot of trust in Slowbro to be able to handle the finish of the game. And I keep track of the fast moves of Alolan Mook, since I know it needs 4 Snarls for every Dark Pulse. So I will be able to use 6 Mud Shots for every Dark Pulse, and then I win the CMP tie. And then my opponent switches and I immediately switch into Slowpoke, since I know that the worst counter to a Slow Brother is gone at least. And it turns out that it is a Shadow Machamp, so that's absolutely amazing for the Slow Brother. And then I will force his last shield by using the Charge move, and he's forced to throw here because the next Confusion would have KO'd him. And then I'm not interested in farming down with Mud Shots, since I don't know if they deal 1 or 2 damage. So I threw my Hydro Cannon at Braviary immediately, and I'm just able to reach the charge move against Alolan Mook too. So that's it for the run. I went 4-1 here. And it's the third time in 7 sets that I go 4-1 with this team. So now I finally achieve rank 9 of the season. And that's all I had to say. Thanks for watching.